Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you know, Wednesday means it's Wild Card Wednesday here in Instant Deck Tech Land, and we have a super insane legacy deck to look at today. This is a deck that goes simply by the name Leylines, and that's because the deck plays a lot of Leylines. This one comes from a player by the name of Chris Wolfmeyer, who a while ago played it at a SCG Open, got a deck tech. I don't think he finished in the top 8, but had a reasonable performance with it. Regardless, deck is super sweet. A quick reminder before we break it all down. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So the basic idea of Legacy Leylines is to play a lot of Leylines. In fact, the deck has 23 Leylines in the deck. And you're probably wondering, why does this deck with 23 Leylines want to have Leyline of Life Force, for example, that says creatures can't be countered, or Leyline of Punishment that says damage can't be prevented, players can't gain life? And the honest answer is, it doesn't. It doesn't really care. The idea of this deck is that Leylines are 4 mana enchantments that go on the battlefield before the game even starts. They start the game on the battlefield. So that's why the deck is playing all of these Leylines. Some of them do have fringe upside. Leyline of the Void can randomly just beat a deck like Dredge. There are advantages to that one. Leyline of Sanctity can protect you from discard or something. Burn spells, randomly get a free win against burn. But that's not really why they're in the deck. So what this deck is trying to do is get a hand that has at least 4 Leylines in it. That's kind of the plan, because the deck wants to start the game with at least 4 Leylines on the battlefield. 5 Leylines, that works as well. So that's what the goal is, because if the deck has at least 4 Leylines on the battlefield, it also has 8 copies, essentially, of Serra Sanctum, which is a land that taps for white mana equal to the number of enchantments you control. So if you have 4 of them, you play a Serra Sanctum on turn 1, you tap it for 4 mana, or if you need to, you can crop rotate into it and do it that way. That works as well. But you can tap it for 4 mana, and that means you can play an Opalescence. And Opalescence turns all global enchantments into creatures with power and toughness equal to their converted mana cost. So basically, all of your Leylines become 4/4 creatures. So if you can start with 4 Leylines on the battlefield, find your Serra Sanctum, play your Opalescence, or if need be, Enlightened Tutor for Opalescence, do it on turn 2. That works as well. So you essentially have 8 copies of Opalescence. Your Leylines become 4/4s with haste because they were already on the battlefield before the game even started, so they're not summoning sick. So you just immediately beat your opponent down for 16 damage if you have 4 of them. And if you can have a hand that's like 5 Leylines, a copy of Opalescence, and a Serra Sanctum, you just win on turn 0. You just Leyline, tap your Serra Sanctum for 5 mana, play your Opalescence, good game, shuffle up, time for game 2. Of course, there's risk to this strategy. Force of Will is a card, so this is kind of a glass cannon all-in combo deck, but it can win really consistently on like turn 2 and win occasionally on turn 1. And you just gotta hope your opponent doesn't have the force of will to disrupt it. And you can see there's a lot of redundancy. 23 Leylines means that there is about a 25% chance that you'll have at least 4 of them in your starting hand. However, the deck has a trick to increase these odds, and that is Serum Powder. So Serum Powder, basically, you're never going to cast it. Technically, it's 3 mana, taps for a colorless. So technically, that's what it does. However, the key here is if you have Serum Powder in your opening hand, you can exile your hand and you get a free mulligan, basically. So this means if you have a hand that only has a couple of Leylines, doesn't look very good, you just exile that away, try again. So even though you still have a 25% chance, or a little bit different, because if you're Serum Powdering away your hand, you probably didn't have a lot of Leylines, so the odds probably increase slightly. But regardless, you get multiple 25% chances with the help of Serum Powder to find that turn 1 nut draw. Helm of Obedience is a backup win plan. if you can't beat down with Leylines because your opponent has an ensnaring bridge or something, you can Enlighten Tutor for Helm of Obedience, get your Leyline of the Void on the battlefield, and then just activating Helm of Obedience will mill your opponent's entire library because of the interaction between Leyline of the Void and Helm of Obedience. And Suppression Field is just to disrupt the opponent. It slows them down, slows down Planeswalkers, slows down fetch lands, and since we're not playing any activated abilities, it doesn't hurt us at all. So we naturally break the symmetry of Suppression Field just because of how our deck's constructed. The mana base in the deck, apart from the Serra Sanctum, which is super duper important, going on this plan and doing it on like turn 4 by making all of our land drops is just way too slow for Legacy. So we really want the Serra Sanctum. But Mana Confluence City of Brass let us tap for any color, and then Tree of Tales is a card that we can tutor up with our Enlightened Tutor. As far as the sideboard, there's 2 important cards. Chancellor of the Annex is the you can't Force of Will us on turn 1 play, so you just reveal it in your open hand, it force spikes your opponent's first play. That means they can't Force of Will you on turn 1, so that's what it's there for. And then Replenish is to fight through Back to Nature type effects, things that'll destroy all enchantments. If you play all these ley lines, your opponent somehow has a massive enchantment removal spell, you can cast Replenish, get them all back onto the battlefield and try again. The rest of the sideboard is just silver bullets to Enlighten Tutor for, so Banishing Light, Oblivion Ring for removal, Curse of Exhaustion to fight Storm decks, Ghostly Prison for creature decks, Rest in Peace Graveyards, Ruined Halo, combo-y type decks, Stony Silence, Affinity, decks like that, anything with a lot of artifacts, Tezzerator or something, and then another Suppression Field for decks with a lot of activated abilities. And remember, because of Serra Sanctum and our Leylines, we're likely going to be able to have one land that's tapping for like 3 or 4 mana at a shot. So even though we have a very small number of lands in our deck, 11 I believe, we still should be able to cast our stuff thanks to the Serra Sanctum. Anyway, that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. Legacy Leylines. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.